everyone, today I have a composition tips video for you at a real world portrait photo shoot. I'm going to walk you through step by step and give you tips that you can use today to start improving your own portrait photography. Let's get into it. One of the biggest struggles with portrait photography is thinking you need an amazing or grand location to take good photos, but the truth is you really don't. You just need to be creative in using what you have. Oh, this is so pretty. We'll start off with like some close-up photos. I think if you stand like just here, so like try and get your face as close to the branches as possible. Whoa, that's so cool. I'll show you.
Oh, really pretty. I love the flowers.
So nice. Look to the camera, like a mixture is perfect.
For this photo shoot, I'm using the Sony A7IV and the Sigma 28 to 45mm f1.8 DGDN art lens. This is the lens that Dan has been using recently to film all our YouTube videos with, but I wanted to test it out for photography as well. So if you're interested in this lens for photo, you can use this video to check out the image quality, as I will be sharing both unedited and edited photos throughout. Onto the tips. I came across these beautiful blooming trees, but the location itself is quite small. One of the main things you can do is choose to use a telephoto lens to narrow your field of view and make the background look fuller than it actually is.
Oh my god, these are so pretty. I'm getting like a very close-up headshot here.
Angles play a really big role as well, so you can see me moving around a lot while I'm taking photos, and what I'm doing is trying to find the best angles to work with that make the location look better than what it actually is in real life. So a common mistake I see with portrait photography is treating each photo like a standalone image without thinking about how it fits into a set of images.
And I'm gonna try shooting kind of like from here. Ooh, that's so pretty there. Okay, so I'm getting like a little bit of your pants in the shot too.
Most of the time, we're delivering our client more than one photo at a time, so if you want your photos to feel more intentional and look more professional, you need to think about storytelling. When I use a background that's distinct, like these pink cherry blossoms, I like to incorporate it across multiple shots. That way, it feels like part of a story instead of just one random image with a bright background that doesn't show up anywhere else. I know I want the rest of this portrait session to take place around the streets here, so for my last cherry blossom shot, I made sure to include both the flowers and buildings in the frame. A photo like this acts like a transition, so it connects our cherry blossom scene to the next scene that we'll be shooting in, which makes the whole shoot flow better.
Oh my god, the zoom is like backwards on this lens and I keep going the wrong way. When I want to zoom in, it zooms out.
Before moving on, because I love this location so much, I also took a more creative shot where it's less about the portrait and more about the atmosphere. So we have direct light with the sun coming straight towards Julie, and then some interesting shadows from the branches. I think these kinds of photos are also good in between shots to help add that dynamic to the final gallery.
Could you sit on that step, please? If you wanted to sit with like, have one like that and one kind of like crossed. Yeah, it's very like casual.
In this next location, I want to show you how you can make your portraits more engaging. This spot is great because we have muted colors, a little bit of green popping through that looks nice with the blue of her jeans, and the lighting is nice and soft. In terms of composition though, these first few photos are okay, but I knew while taking them that they could be stronger. We have these leading lines that point directly to Julie, which sounds good because I'm sure you've heard time and time again about using leading lines in photography, but there's a couple of reasons why they are not working so well in this case. First, the leading lines here are a bit too prominent. They are sharp and they really overpower the frame, which makes the image feel heavy on one side. And that's something to watch out for with leading lines. When they're too obvious, they start fighting for attention with the subject instead of supporting the shot. What I did instead is move slightly to the right and ask Julie to lean away from the wall to create more distance between her and the background. That softens those harsh lines and pushes them out of focus so they don't distract as much. At the same time, we're now bringing in more texture on the left side of the frame with the shrubs, a bit of sky, and the footpath, which helps balance out the frame. So I find these photos more visually pleasing. Let me know what you think in the comments. Wide-angle lenses can be tricky to work with for portraits as you don't have the compression of a long lens like 85 or 135mm to hide behind, but there are still some tricks you can do to mimic that sort of look, and I'll take you through it step by step at this location. Starting off wide at 28mm, these first few photos are pretty average. There is too much going on in the background, the lighting is not particularly good since there are shadows falling across Julie's eyes, and the footpath cuts right through her legs, which is acting almost like the opposite of a leading line. It's actually disrupting your eye to the subject. What I'm going to do instead is get in a little bit closer and shoot from a slight angle. I'm still at 28mm here, but now we're creating a bit more separation between Julie and the background. The lines in the frame are already looking more pleasing just from that slight shift in perspective, but the photo is still feeling a little bit busy overall. So next, I'm going to angle myself to get that large tree in the frame instead. This is going to help simplify and tone down the background to bring back more attention to the subject. I really like the look of that tree in the background there, so I ended up taking a few more portraits with it. When you have a dark background like that, I like to zoom in to help my subject pop with that contrast. So my last tip for this location is if you're using a zoom lens while you're shooting and you'll find yourself in a situation like this, another easy way to eliminate a lot of distractions in the background is to simply zoom in and use a longer focal length. In this location, I want to talk about posing, and this is a little hack that you can use so you can essentially never run out of poses again, kind of. Let me explain.
So I'd love to use this. I feel like it'll look cool if you sit just here, facing towards me. We can do crossed, and then eventually you can like bring one up and we like move around. Oh, that looks so cool there. Yeah, I love like leaning poses like that. They're so like beautiful.
Julie is a great model, so she is super creative with her movements, and we did end up trying quite a few different poses in this one location, but you don't need to be working with a model to end up with great photos like this. What I like to do is ask my subject to get into a pose that feels comfortable for them. So once I'm done with those photos, instead of asking them to get into a completely new pose, I'll instead just ask them to make small, simple changes to the current pose. So while they're doing that, I'm moving around too. So I'm changing my angle, I'm changing the focal length or the distance I'm shooting from, and my framing to capture a few different styles of photos. This is such a great way to work with people who are not super comfortable in front of the camera because you're getting them to do very simple and easy things while still being able to get a variety of shots.
And if you could lean, I love the shots where you were kind of leaning on that. Yeah, because you're closer to the grass as well. Yeah, that's lovely.
If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit like and subscribe to my channel as it really helps me out. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Let me know which ones were your favorite photos in the comments, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.